So the first thing is always, when it comes to music, it's the idea of the copyright. And this is where everything stems from. And it's really important to understand copyright in the context of representing musicians, because there's actually a number of copyrights that we have here. We begin with the copyright that deals with the music and the lyrics, the composition and the lyrics of the song itself. And then there is another copyright in what we call the sound recording of the music. So, somebody may have rights, they've written the song, and then they get it registered with what is called a PRO, a performing rights organization, or they assign it to a song publisher or a music publisher. And the idea then is that the music publisher will get that music placed in different venues, whether a concert or whether a film or a TV. But it's important to know that there are those different copyrights, right? One in the sound recording, one in the music and composition itself. Now, the copyright will protect both. Now, it could be that the authors to both are the same. It could be that the authors to them are different. So it's important to know who owns what copyright when it comes to the music.
The evolving digital music sector. New music media companies are trying to lower intellectual property costs. Digital radio is calling for cheaper royalty fees and forcing the issue on a variety of fronts. The opposing side takes the form of rights collectors who represent songwriters, publishers, record labels, and performing artists. In essence, those who make up what is traditionally understood as the music industry are pitted against the evolving digital music sector. It is helpful to understand how copyright works. For every song, two copyrights exist: the compositional copyright and the sound recording copyright. Generally speaking, songwriters and publishers typically own the compositional copyright, while the sound recording copyright belongs to recording artists and record labels. In the world of traditional terrestrial radio, AM and FM stations pay royalty based on the compositional copyright. These royalties are systematically collected by performance right organizations known as PROs, such as ASCAP, BMI, or SESAC. These PROs distribute money to the rights holders who are signed up with them after taking a percentage to cover their operational costs. With the exception of SESACs, the PROs are classified as non-profit organizations. Like terrestrial radio, digital radio providers, which include SiriusXM satellite radio, Pandora internet radio, other online services, and cable TV music channels, pay royalties to songwriters and publishers via the PROs. However, unlike terrestrial radio, they also pay royalties based on the sound recording copyright to performing artists and record labels. The PRO that was formed in 2003 to collect these digital performance fees is called SoundExchange. As digital companies grow, they are demanding that their current royalty fees be reduced, and Pandora has just they sued ASCAP in 2012 for that reason, and SiriusXM is sued SoundExchange. Pandora was fighting SoundExchange on Capitol Hill with a new bill called the Internet Radio Fairness Act. And Pandora says that the fees are strangling not only their own company, but also the digital music market as a whole. And stunting their ability to be profitable or for new market entrants to raise funding. Pandora sues ASCAP. Pandora filed a lawsuit in early November of 2012 against ASCAP, claiming that the terms of their 2005 agreement, which expired in 2010, were experimental. ASCAP, on the other hand, presented the terms as being effectively non-negotiable. After failing to reach a new deal privately, Pandora brought the issue before the U.S. District Court in New York. And in early 2012, ASCAP negotiated a deal with Clear Channel that set their royalty rates much lower than Pandora's, even though Clear Channel operates their own internet radio service known as iHeartRadio. Pandora's founder, Tim Westergren, said that royalty rates for different formats of digital radio are astonishingly unequal. Pandora claims that it deserves a break because ASCAP has lost some of its major publishing clients, EMI and Sony ATV, for example. These important publishers have already or are steadily moving towards negotiating licensing deals directly with internet radio services like Pandora. Pandora argues that the value of these independent deals should be carved out of what it owns, ASCAP. In a similar scenario, SiriusXM sued SoundExchange in March of 2012, pushing for cheaper digital performance license fees. The satellite radio company also sued the American Association of Independent Music, known as A2IM, alleging that the association conspired with SoundExchange to block SiriusXM from lowering their royalty rates, and that in doing so, the two entities violated antitrust laws. SiriusXM claims that when it reached out to several record labels to try to negotiate direct deals, the labels had already been privately instructed by SoundExchange and A2IM to refuse. SiriusXM argued that the rights holders could be paid more if SoundExchange were not taking a fee from the collections, and went so far as to request that SoundExchange be dissolved. The Internet Radio Fairness Act. While these different lawsuits play out, Pandora was seeking change before Congress. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon and his co-sponsors introduced the Internet Radio Fairness Act to, quote, remove the regulatory shackles preventing internet radio from being commercially viable, end quote. According to Senator Wyden's summary, internet radio is a victim of discrimination. The act calls for equality between cable, satellite, and internet radio. The act did not specify that internet radio fees be specifically lowered to Sirius's rate, but that all digital radio broadcasters be treated the same. This does not include traditional terrestrial radio, only digital. The rates of satellite and cable radio are set by a panel of special judges who make up the Copyright Royalty Board. Senator Wyden argues that the board uses a broader set of factors in determining the rates for satellite and cable than they do for the internet radio. His bill mandates the use of the same methodology for services such as Pandora. This is the focus of the act, but as we know, a bill is like a train leaving a busy station, and the reality is that only so many trains can leave a station. There's a whole other set of provisions tucked into the proposed legislations that would affect the music industry. In conclusion, in some ways it seems that the battles surrounding royalty rates are more important for radio services, record labels, and publishers than they are for the artists. In 2012, the nonprofit organization Future of Music Coalition released findings from its research project on artists' revenue streams. Performance royalties accounted for a small piece of the overall pie, trailing behind live performance, being a salaried player, and session work, in that order. The royalties still account for a significant portion of revenues, especially important for songwriters. In order for any bill to become a law, it has to travel a long journey of obstacles and waiting lines. So, no matter how much noise the proponents of the IRFA make, the likelihood of it becoming reality is very slim.